The prairie wind bit cold against the skin, as the sun dipped beneath the western sky, setting it ablaze with hues of amber and crimson. Dust curled upward in faint spirals from the cracked earth, clinging to the tear-streaked faces of two small children. Their clothes were torn, their eyes heavy with fear, and their tiny hearts beat fast in a world that had shown them little mercy. The boy, older by just a few years, pressed his lips together, staring at the worn boots of the men standing before him. Every hardship that had led them to this moment seemed to weigh on his shoulders. And then, summoning all the courage his young soul could hold, he spoke words no child should ever have to say. "Please, spare my sister," he whispered, his voice breaking though his gaze stayed firm. "Take me instead." The silence that followed was so deep it felt as though the earth itself held its breath. The rancher, a man hardened by years of loss and wind and dust, froze. He hadn't expected such words from a child. Yet, in that instant, something deep within him stirred. Something long buried. An ache, a memory, and a pull that would change everything. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of selfless love, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who could use a little hope today, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support keeps stories like this one alive. Samuel and Anna's journey began long before that desperate plea. Samuel was 9, already burdened with responsibilities too heavy for his young frame. Anna, only 6, clung tightly to a tattered doll whose seams had begun to unravel. Much like their lives. Their father, once a ranch hand himself, had died in a tragic accident while taming a wild horse. Their mother, frail and ill, followed him during the bitter winter, leaving the children alone in a harsh and unkind world. Since then, they had wandered from place to place, begging for scraps, hiding from danger, and praying each night that someone, somewhere, might see them not as burdens, but as children deserving of care. One scorching afternoon, they stumbled across the vast property of a man known only as the rancher. Tall and weathered, his face was carved with years of sun and sorrow. He was said to be as cold as the steel branding iron he carried. Long ago, he had lost his own family, and with them, his capacity for warmth. No one dared ask him for compassion. And yet, there they stood. Two fragile, dirt-covered children with pleading eyes that silently asked for mercy. The rancher studied them for a long time, his heart warring with his mind. He had seen others before and sent them away without a second thought. But there was something different about Samuel. Something in the boy's steady, sacrificial gaze that pierced the armor around his soul. When Samuel offered himself in place of his sister, the rancher felt a shock deep in his chest, as if looking into a reflection of the man he used to be before grief turned him to stone. Days passed, and the rancher didn't send them away. At first, he simply gave them food in silence, watching from a distance as Anna clutched her doll while Samuel waited for her to eat before taking a bite himself. He noticed the boy's quiet determination, how he helped with chores despite his thin arms and weary body. He noticed Anna's laughter, rare but bright, softening even the hardest moments. Without realizing it, the rancher began to feel something he thought had died long ago. The stirrings of family, but not everyone shared his change of heart. The ranch hands grumbled among themselves. They said the children were strays, extra mouths to feed, trouble waiting to happen. Samuel overheard one of them one evening while carrying buckets of water. His heart ached. Later that night, as Anna fell asleep beside him, he whispered that if the rancher ever turned them away, he wouldn't beg. But he'd find a way to keep her safe. The rancher heard that whisper too, standing by their door in the quiet dark. Those words struck him harder than any storm. This boy, with nothing left in the world, still carried the courage and love of a man far beyond his years. That night, the rancher couldn't sleep. His thoughts churned. Could he open his heart again? Could he love these children when the memory of his own still haunted him? Or would he lose them too? The true test came soon after. One evening, rough men rode onto the ranch, eyes sharp with greed. They'd heard rumors of 2 wandering orphans and came to claim them for labor. Before the rancher could react, Samuel stepped forward, arms spread wide in front of Anna. "If you have to take someone," he cried, trembling but brave, "take me. But leave my sister." His words hung in the air like thunder. Anna clung to his arm, sobbing, while the rancher stood frozen, watching this child fight a battle no child should ever face. Something cracked open inside him. With a voice that rolled like distant thunder, the rancher ordered the men to leave. His hand rested on his rifle, his stance firm, his eyes blazing with a fire none dared to challenge. The intruders turned and fled, the sound of their horses fading into the distance. When silence returned, the rancher faced the children, his hands trembling not from anger, but from the weight of a decision already made. He knelt down before them and, in a voice gentler than it had been in years, said he would never let them face this world alone again. From that day forward, they would be his children, his family, and no harm would touch them under his care. Anna wept as she buried her face in his coat, her doll pressed between them. Samuel, fighting tears, clutched the rancher's arms, afraid this promise might fade like a dream. But it didn't. The rancher meant every word. For the first time in years, he let his broken heart love again. Seasons passed, and life on the ranch changed. Samuel grew strong, learning the ways of horses and cattle by the rancher's side. Anna's laughter returned, bright and full, echoing across the plains, as she played among the wildflowers. Her doll now, repaired with careful stitches sewn by the rancher himself. The ranch hands who once doubted them began to soften too. Some even smiled as they watched their hardened boss become something new. Something whole again. The rancher was no longer a man of stone. He was a father. And in protecting these children, he found his redemption. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the strength found in sacrifice, the healing power of love, and the way kindness can awaken even the coldest soul, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Stories of Kinness. Your support helps these stories continue to shine. And before we close, I'd love to hear from you. What did this story make you feel? Did Samuel's courage or the rancher's change of heart move you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because sometimes, one act of sacrifice and one act of kindness can change everything.